It's a long road to building a business of the scale and success that you've done. Did you start off with wanting it to be a family business, or did that just happen?
First of all, thank you CPI for inviting me and speak in this forum. I'm very honored about this. The business, most of the people who knows me a little bit over here, because my stories have been written in many magazines and all that. It started when my father expired. I have to start from the beginning so that you know exactly how this business started.
Let's hear the story.
So it started when my father expired when I was only 16 years old. Then everything I had to do it. I went to Kuwait. I started working for my uncle in Kuwait. Everything was going well. Kuwait came down into a war situation where we had to run away from there, and we came to Dubai, and that's how I decided to start my business. So answering to your question, when I started my business, there was no such planning. It was forced upon me, so I started a business which everybody would do. I mean, when I started my business, I had only 100,000 dirhams in my pocket. And I told to my wife one thing that, okay, look, let me try this, because I was already 30 plus at that time. And I said, if I don't succeed, anybody will give me a job of 5,000 dirhams. And that's how I started this company.
And it wasn't as if you started in an easy sector. Like you started at what at that time was one of the most competitive sectors in the region.
Because that's the only thing I knew at that time, because I was Kuwait, my uncle taught me only building material, and that's the only thing I knew over here. And Dubai was much more, it was a competitive sector, building material, and Dubai was much more competitive. I mean, I remember that when I started the business, I started going to my people whom I'm selling to, and I said, look, I've come from Kuwait and I can offer you this particular material, why don't you buy from me? And they would say, why would I want to buy from you? Rizwan, you have come from Kuwait, and we know all the suppliers directly from where you're wanting to offer, so why should we buy from you? But somehow I got some agencies, I convinced some suppliers who I was dealing in Kuwait, and they gave me the agencies, and I was able to sell to them. So it was not a very easy business, but we somehow managed it.
And I know that, I know from meeting you before as one, that at those days you were working like 17, 18 hours a day. You were doing 4 or 5 different jobs, weren't you, at that stage?
Yeah, because only me and my wife were managing the company. So I used to start at morning 8 o'clock, and by the time I used to go home, it was 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. So we had to do that hours. But anybody who starts a business or anybody has to work, come successful, have to do this. I mean, you can't do without it.
You can't do without it. But at what stage would you say that it actually became a family business? Because we see it referred to in the press almost every day as a family business.
You see, like I said, me and my wife, we started the business. Then I was getting a lot of pressure, so I wrote to my brother in Bombay. He was in India at that time, and I said, Anis, his name is Anis Sajan. I said, Anis, I need you very badly over here because I'm not able to manage the amount of pressure, and why don't you join me? So he was kind enough to come and join me, and he was the first one who came in, helped me after my wife. So of course we are still together, my brother, and then my son. After my brother, it was my son. We taught him from the beginning that, what happens is the children, especially when they are born with a silver spoon, they don't know which direction to go to. And many of them, they lose that track. So it was very important that even my son, when he was from the age of 14, I used to start telling him that during the vacation time which you had, we have to come to the office and get training. And I used to pay him for that, 1,000 dirhams I used to pay him as a pocket money. So he was very excited to get that 1,000 dirhams pocket money, and he used to come and work for me.
Tell us a bit more about this, because I'm fascinated by this. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you see, one of the things that's happened here is that Rizwan's son has become very fundamental, very important in diversifying Danube Group. He's the person that's headed up a whole new wing of Danube Group. And I know your son, and he's very, very grounded. He's not Mr. MBA, but he could have been like that. How did you ensure that he wanted to come into Dad's business?
Yeah, so that's what I said. What happened was, from the initial stage, you need to plow into your children that this is what you need to do. And now I know it's very difficult unless the children wants to take it, because most of the children have their different ideas of what they want to do. But luckily for him, we started him at a very young age, where in the 14 years, me and my wife used to have a fight, because at the age of 14 and 15, I used to go and tell Adil, look Adil, you can't sit in the office, you have to sit in the warehouse. And my wife used to complain, how can you send this such a small boy in the warehouse in the hot sun and all that, because July and August is the summer where they used to have a vacation. But that's how we got the training, and by the age of, when he finished his college at the age of 22, he came to me and Dad, he says that now what do you think I should do? Because now I want to do something on my own. I want to create something on my own. I don't want to be something which you have done. I want to do something of my own where I have my own identity. Because most of the children, they always want to have their own identity. Okay, Dad has created something, but what have I done?
Yeah. So tell us about, sorry to interrupt, tell us about Danube Home and how that came about. Because that's a classic example of diversification. You know, I had, little aside here, I used to have a landlord who had 3 or 4 properties in Dubai. He used to buy from Danube Home and stockpile the stuff in a warehouse, and he would only buy Danube Home.
Danube Home was already created before Adil came into the business. This was created in 2007 and 8 at the peak of the recession. We started this Danube Home concept because at that particular time, or before 5 years before that time, a lot of people started buying the houses of their own. So I realized that, look, people are, when they are buying houses on their own, they would require more of decoration, more of renovation, more of, every housewife would want to say that this kitchen is not looking good, this garden is not looking good, let's change that, this tile is not looking good. And as much as you're staying in the rented apartment, you're not going to spend that much. But when you're owning your own house, you definitely spend a lot of money. So that's why the concept of Danube Home came into me, like, why not we offer everything under one roof? Because at that particular time, what was to happen that if I want to buy a wallpaper, I have to go to a Dera market. When I want to buy a sanitary, I have to go to a Sharjah market. If I want to buy furniture, I have to go to a different place. Now, what we decided that we compiled everything what would require in a house, whether it is the ceiling or the flooring or the bathroom or the tiling or the garden or whatever you require, you give everything under one roof at a concept which is you can easily go and buy, where you have an after sale service. And that's what I created. And then when Adil came and joined me, I said, Adil, look, I have started this concept, but I'm so much busy into my building material, I'm not able to really give time on it.
Absolutely. So how long, in calendar terms, did it take to plan that diversification? How long did that planning process take?
The process was already started, but when Adil came up, it really added that Danube Home became more and more success. Now I'll tell you what happened exactly. When Adil came in at the age of 23, I told him, this is what you need to start and take over this charge of me. Now the people who were reporting to me, I told them, from tomorrow you're going to start and report to Adil. Now these are the people who are the all senior people, they are the all qualified people who were reporting to me, because I had started this company, I started this Danube Home. And then when I told them, like, you have to go and report to Adil, who is only 23 years old, just come from the college, and made him the director of the company, and I said, you have to report to him. Now, they were a little shocked that this old man has gone little, mad, that how can he ask Adil to report and he will manage the whole company.
Yeah.
But fortunately what had happened was, because of the age, at the age of 14, when he started coming, we put him to all the trainings of different departments. Like, he used to go and work in the warehouse with me, he used to work in the logistic department, he used to work in the audit department, finance department, HR department. We put him into the different trainings, into different vacation time used to come. So by the time he was 23, not only he had a better knowledge about the outside world where he studied in his college about the MBA and all that, and then he got this experience, he was able to get along with the staff who was reporting to me in a much better way than I could do it.
And something that interests me here, Rizwan, is that, just don't want to embarrass you, but you're seen as, you're the quintessential wheeler dealer. You're the quintessential entrepreneur. You'll find a solution, you'll find a finance. How, I know your expertise was in the building sector, but where did your finance expertise come from? Where did your business strategy expertise come from? Because I don't believe it was trial and error. Where did that expertise come from?
About the finance?
Yeah.
Finance, of course, whenever you want to run a big company, you need to hire people who are better than you, who understand you. So at every step, we have always hired very good professionals. Today also I had a very important person in my company. Before I came, I sent a letter. So every now and then we have to hire people who can do a much better, the industry best, and then make them do the job.
So with that enlightened view, I'm assuming, but it could be a dangerous assumption, I'm assuming that when you bring those top professionals on board, you will share all the company's knowledge with those people. You won't keep something back that's sort of secret for the family.
You can't, because if you want somebody to do the job, you need to share all the secrets of the company. There's no doubt about it, because when you want somebody to do the job, because I always believe in hiring the best of the people and delegating them. And if you don't share the secrets of the company, he will not be able to do the job. So we share the important key people, the 20 people, important key people would know everything and everything of my company.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So what do you see as the next steps in the process of diversification? Is there going to be a further stage of diversification? Away now you've got Danube Home. Is there going to be another stage as well? What's next?
What we have done is, the last diversification we have done is before 2 years is we have got into properties, which everybody knows. You can see the signboards and hoardings across the city. Before 2 years we went and we did a very, I would say one of the good job in today's market, because it's only 2 years and we have launched 6 projects, and the 6th project which I have launched recently before 1 month ago, it's called Glams. That also is sold out. I mean, you'll see the hoarding now sold out. I'm putting it everywhere in the next few days. Yeah. So that is the diversification we have done.
But it also seems to me, Rizwan, that something that you've proven to be very expert at doing is positioning your offer in the market in a very particular niche. Because, for instance, with Danube Home, I see you in the same way that I see, say, Zara as a clothing retailer. You're offering high quality, but at a Marks and Spencer's price, as it were. You're offering high fashion, but at an affordable price. And I feel the same with the property offers. They're in great locations, they're good quality, great design, but at pretty much an affordable price. And you seem to have that mid-market view as your market philosophy.
Because I always believe that if you want to do any business, you need to find a USP of that business. If you find that USP, you need to do something different. If you follow what everybody is doing, you'll never be successful. So even when I started this coffee shop, everybody said you want to start a coffee shop. But then I studied that there are almost 200 coffee shops in Dubai. So we started a tea shop, which was a unique at that time. It's called Chacha Chai. Many people must have heard about that Chacha Chai. So same way, even the Danube Home was started, it was not like Home Center is selling furniture, the Home Zaras are selling furniture. There is somebody who's selling only the tiles, somebody who's selling only the wallpaper. So we compiled everything and put into one place. Now in the property also the same thing which we did, like okay, property everybody was selling, but you need to create some uniqueness where people would be attracted to buy that from you. And the uniqueness was affordability and payment terms. And if you look at the new marketing campaign which we have, is we are targeting the people who are paying the rent, like stop renting, start owning. So the people, if you are having a long-term plan to stay over here, why would you want to rent that property? You would rather have your own property with that 1% payment plan which we have come up. So you have to come out with something unique, and you are 100% successful in that.
Yeah. Do you think that there is something very different about a family business to any other kind of business? Is there a distinctive opportunity or limitation when you've got a family business?
I think you have an opportunity more than the limitations, as long as you as a family business are open enough to hire professionals to work for you. You are running a family business, but you have professionals who are well paid, who are taken care, who have been part of the company. You pay them even some percentage of the profit, and then the family business is better to be a family business, provided you, like I said, a family business cannot be a good family business if a family decides that he is going to do everything on his own. Family business can be good provided you look above the family business, you hire the best of the people, delegate them, and you supervise on top of it.
You've become one of the richest men in the country. You're a billionaire. Do you have any regrets? Would you have done things differently looking back now?
No, I think I'm very happy with what I have done.
Yeah, I can imagine. Round of applause, I think, please. Yeah.
Frankly, when I started my business, I would never thought that I would reach at this day. Sometimes I still wonder, am I the same person who is doing it,
Yeah, but to be honest, you see, I'm asking you these questions, but I'm not sure that there's anything that any of us can learn from you, because I think that you just have this in your DNA. I think you're just born to be very good as a wheeler dealer, as an entrepreneur. I don't think we can really learn and imitate that.
Why not?
Because I think that you've had an extraordinary roller coaster journey, and I don't think many people could have survived the downs that you've had in that journey.
I wouldn't, probably yes and no. I wouldn't say yes and I wouldn't say no. Yes, it's a question of timing. Rightly, because I was in Dubai at the right time, at the right place. And that helped me to grow the business. Roller coaster was there, but I again fall into the right place. Dubai at time, if you look back 20 years ago, the way Dubai has evolved in the last 20 years is unbelievable.
Phenomenal.
And I was selling building materials, so I was a part of every building which was being made over here, and probably I would say was the right place. And Dubai gives you an opportunity for any businessman to do a free business, which is an advantage, which is a disadvantage, because if you have, everybody gets the right, you have creating more competition. So you have to figure out how you can be above the competition and work towards it.
So if there were two pieces of good advice that you would give to the entrepreneurs here in the audience, what would they be?
Regarding what?
Firstly, how to be successful in business, and secondly, how to safeguard the family's interests while bringing in the people who are top of their trade.
When you want to be successful, or when you want to be an entrepreneur and you be successful in that, start any business which has that unique selling point. Don't start or don't copy with everybody is doing it. Like I have seen many of my friends starting a boutique in Jumeirah, or doing something or starting a restaurant because he feels that a friend has started a restaurant and he should also start a restaurant. Yes, it's a good idea to start a restaurant, but that restaurant should have something which nobody has. Like for example, you can get some concept selling restaurant. I'm just giving you an example, like so that it becomes a little bit more understandable. That's how we do. Like whenever we want to do any business, we first study the market, at what is available in the market, and then accordingly what exactly different uniqueness I can add to that particular business, and that's how we succeed in that. So that's one of the key advice which I would want to give to any entrepreneur, that whenever you start any business, don't follow what others are doing. Create your own uniqueness of whatever you are doing. Secondly, how to protect yourself. I think family business can always, there are risk of when you hire some people, he is having the secret, he can start his own business. That risk is always there. But then if you are taking care of that person whom you are hiring, and you are giving him more than what he feels that he will probably get outside, he will never leave you and go. And money is the one part, and second thing is your motivation, and the other thing, if you're taking care of him, you're patting him on his back of whatever he's doing, not many would leave it. There will be always a risk of people who in my industry also has left me and gone, in my company also has left me and gone. But that should not bother you as long as you are going in the right direction, you are hiring people, you are growing year after year. If he's gone, he's gone. It is his luck. I mean, everybody has a right to go, and everybody has a right to do, why not? I mean, I was working somewhere else, I have started my own company. If somebody is working for me and starting his own company, I should not be unhappy about it. I should be happy about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong. As long as you know what you're doing, you go ahead with that. Very
good guidance. Rizwan Sajan, thank you very much. We're honored to see you here today. Please, terrific round of applause for Rizwan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.